Okay, and apparently I'm live. Am I live? I think I am. So, good evening everyone, and welcome back. It's the last Sunday of the month, which means only one thing, that you get to spend an awkward hour with me. And today I was wanting to talk about false memories because it's an interesting topic and one I've wanted to make a video about for a while now, but I thought I would turn it into a discussion instead. So if you have any false memories you want to share, then feel free to do so. Yeah, I'm interested to see if false memories occur more frequently with lucid dreamers, so don't shy away. I'll be sharing a few of mine. So very quickly, just to clarify, a false memory is when someone recalls something that never actually happened, and I've had a few of these in my life. And I feel like I've had them a lot more frequently since I started lucid dreaming. But usually, those kind of false memories are ones where I'll realise pretty quickly that it was a false memory. Usually I'll kind of be like, oh yeah, that never actually happened, that was a dream. A couple of times I've thought that I've owed people money when I haven't. It was only a dream, and thankfully I have not necessarily paid anybody any money. But yes, hello everyone, hi. So, I don't know how many people are here, but I suppose I'll just get into it. Yeah, so thinking of a few false memories that I've had, or at least I assume they're false memories because no one's ever told me otherwise, but there's something about them that feels quite dreamlike, I suppose. And the first sort of false memory that I can recall, I remember I must have been maybe like 3 years old. It was before I'd started school anyway. I remember going to the local library with my mum, and I remember being like in the kids section in the library, and I remember being sat on a table. My mum must have only been like a couple of feet away from me, and she was looking through the books, I'm guessing, to pick a book out for me or to read to me. And I just have this memory of this, of just being sat at this table, and this woman came and sat opposite me, and something about her felt really off. I don't know what it was exactly, but she sat opposite me, and she seemed really, really like too friendly. And she said hello to me, and I remember just kind of being a bit freaked out by it and standing up and grabbing my mum's arm. And this woman then looking really kind of concerned, and then very quickly she shuffled off, and I kind of interpreted it as like this woman was trying to kidnap me. But I've brought this up with my mum, and she says she's got no recollection of that, and that just never would have happened. So I'm assuming that maybe that was just a dream that I had, because it's quite common. It's always been quite a common theme for me to have dreams of people trying to kidnap me or hurt me, or kind of those sort of anxiety dreams. So that it could have been a dream, but I remember it as a memory of a woman in a library trying to steal me. So yeah, I'm interested to know if anybody has any false memories, I suppose, if they wanted to share them. And go for it. Oh, sorry, I'm messing around with a lighter, which I shouldn't do. Yeah, I remember Giz made a video on false memories, which I couldn't remember what it was called. I had to ask him for it yesterday, but I remember he did a really good video on false memories, and he spoke about a false memory he had when he was a kid, and he remembered falling out of a tree and breaking both of his legs and not being able to start primary school straight away because his legs were broken. and he had to get used to walking in like leg braces, and apparently that was just that memory never ever happened. That was just a false memory that Giz had. And I find that one really fascinates me, because that's very detailed to and just I don't know, to have a memory of breaking your legs and not being able to start school is just, it's pretty amazing, really, that the brain does that, I guess. Creates memories like that. And I think the thing that kind of unnerves me a bit about this whole kind of phenomenon is, I guess, ultimately the only thing that you truly have in life are your memories. All your material possessions you'll eventually lose. The people around you will grow and change and pass on, but memories will always be there. I guess, I'm thinking about, you know, that image of, laying on your deathbed and reflecting on your life, and all those things. It's kind of scary to think maybe you can't trust your own memories. So that's, kind of why I'm particularly interested in this subject. Another memory as well, and like this one I can't confirm whether this is a true memory or not, but again, I suspect that it isn't, just because it feels very, again, it feels a bit too bizarre and it feels a bit too dreamlike. But I remember, again, probably about 3 years old, and I was in play school, and it was held at this sort of like village hall church type place that I used to live near, and it was on the top floor, but the play school area, and I remember that there was a window looking into the toilet, which is just a very bizarre thing to have. Yeah, I remember, because they had like a little bathroom, and I remember there being a window, and the way that I'm remembering it is like, well, it was for the staff to check on the kids. Like if you let a 3-year-old go to the toilet on their own, you want to make sure that they haven't fallen in to the toilet, I suppose, and that's why it was there. But I just remember that just always feeling very uncomfortable going to the toilet, knowing there was a window there, and bizarrely thinking about that now. One of my sort of most common dream signs, even to this day, is trying to go to the toilet and there being a window where people are watching me. So I don't know. This is something that's obviously affected me on a very deep level. But again, I really don't know if that is a true memory or not, because it'd be very strange to have a window looking into a toilet. Again, I don't know if I've just mixed dream with a memory, and it's come out as this sort of very bizarre memory. But yeah, that was one. Trying to think as well. Another memory, which again I'm assuming it to be a false memory, because this one is in third person. In this memory, I'm watching myself, so again, it seems very unlikely to be a true memory. I remember being a child, don't know how old, and being stood at the top of the stairs at my grandma's house. And I remember just being stood there, and the next thing I remember is I'm watching myself in third person fall down the stairs. But I'm watching myself from kind of a very weird angle. I just remember watching myself fall, and then as soon as I hit the floor at the bottom of the stairs, I'm back in my body, and it's like I can sort of remember crying, and then that's it. And then again, the next kind of thing I remember is being sat on my grandma's bed and my sister wrapping my head in a bandage. But again, it's all in third person. I can, when I'm trying to recall this memory, I can see myself sort of sat on the bed, like my eyes red from crying, looking a bit dazed, and my sister wrapping my head up in a bandage. But I don't think that happened. I don't think I actually ever fell down the stairs. And the fact that it happened in third person is quite interesting, really. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how to interpret that one. Don't know if it was a dream. But I'm pretty sure I brought that up with people before, and they don't remember it. So it could very well be that I simply yeah, that's what happened. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about. I remember one now. I was rather young as well, maybe 3 or 4. I was at a park with my family. My mum was holding me in her arms. A few gunshots went off and we all ran. Bloody hell. A few years passed. I thought, right. I thought it was a real event we went through of asking my mum. Wow, that's a pretty crazy one, really. Like to remember gunshots. It's quite an extreme thing. But don't drop my lighter. Maybe it's something about that age. I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's quite difficult to remember things from that age in general, really. I don't know how many people have particularly vivid memories of being that young. Like, I'm trying to think of my earliest memory, which is quite hard, really, because I don't know which one is my earliest memory, but I do have memories from maybe being like 3 or 4, but I don't think I can't really remember a lot. I just have very random little memories, like even of things that aren't even like important. Like I've got a really vivid memory of just somebody moving like a bedside cabinet, and I found just like a penny on the floor under the bedside cabinet and being like really like, oh wow, money. But it was only like 1p. But as a 3-year-old, that was like amazing. Just it's not even like that's not even a remotely interesting or important memory, but these are the kind of little memories that I've got from being that young. So yeah, I guess I don't know. Memory in general is an interesting subject. The amount of times I've reminisced with somebody, and we've both got completely different memories of the same event. You're never quite sure if your memory is the right one or if the other person's memory is the right one. I mean, typically you think your memory is the right one because that's how you remember it. But yeah, it's definitely something that I am pretty interested. I remember I did briefly do psychology in 6th form. I remember learning a little bit about memory, but I remember finding the lessons to be quite boring, and so therefore I don't remember anything, which is quite ironic, really. But yeah, I do think I tend to get a lot more confused between memories and dreams these days. But as I said, usually I'll remember eventually that it was just a dream. Like, I don't really have what I would consider to be false memories as such anymore. But it's just those few ones that I had as a child, which were all kind of. I mean, strange enough, all of those false memories that I've just mentioned were all kind of weird and scary, like someone trying to kidnap me, the creepiness of being watched on the toilet, falling down the stairs and getting hurt. Your false memory of being shot at are all sort of traumatic things, really, or negative things. My earliest memory is a lucid dream I had at about 3 or 4 years old, and now I want to lucid dream again. My biggest problem is recall. So that's pretty cool. Your earliest memory is a lucid dream when I was about 3 or 4. I remember my first ever dream, or I think it's my first ever dream. Again, I don't know how I can really be sure that it's my first ever dream, but in the dream I must have only been like 2 or no, I must have been like 3. And in the dream, my mum is going to pick my sister up from school, and she's walking and I'm following behind her, and I'm like still crawling at this point. I'm not walking yet, and I'm trying to crawl after my mum, but obviously she's a lot faster, and she's like always kind of, the space between us is gaining, and she crosses the road, and I try and cross after her, and this car comes around the corner and runs me over, and as it runs me over, it parks on top of me, and so I've got a big car on top of me, and the bloke in the car then tries to pull me out from under the car, but can't because there's a car on top of me. And I remember that as being my first ever dream, which, again, a kind of anxiety, panic, sort of nightmare, I suppose. But being 3 or 4 and having a lucid dream, that's pretty cool. I mean, like, what happened in that lucid dream? Can you sort of really remember much from it, or do you just remember it as a lucid dream? And your biggest problem is recall. So, I mean, I'm just going to ask you the question, do you keep a dream journal? And if you do keep a dream journal, do you write in it regularly? And do you find there to be a difference in your level of recall if you do journal your dreams? Oh, the sun's shining on me. That's not good. Come to think of it, I did have a lucid dream when I was about 6, which I suppose might have been my first ever lucid dream. Like, I consider my first proper lucid dream to be like from about 7 years ago, like after I started learning about lucid dreaming. And I guess the reason I call that my first proper lucid dream is because I knew that I was dreaming, and I knew kind of what it meant to be dreaming, because you get those lucid dreams where you know that you're dreaming, but you don't fully understand what that means, so you kind of forget that nothing can hurt you. You're kind of half aware, I suppose. But yeah, as I remember being about 6 years old, and my mum telling me, it's the same. Actually, it was the same kind of thing that Giz was talking about with his first lucid dream. My mum telling me that if I'm having a nightmare, or I just have to remember that it's a dream, and I can wake myself up. And I do remember having a sort of dream where I was underwater, and there was this kind of big treasure chest. But Ursula from Little Mermaid came out of the treasure chest, and I remember that being very scary. And it just clicked that I'm dreaming, and it's just a nightmare, and I woke myself up. And that seems to be quite a common first lucid experience for a lot of people, actually. Like from nightmares. So yes. I think another thing as well with false memories is, I wonder if I'm more susceptible to them because of my kind of mental health stuff. I try to keep a dream journal, but I always forget to write it down. And in the dream, there was a volcano eruption, so we had to hide in a cave. It was in the middle of the street, and then I realised I was dreaming. Yeah, so it's kind of a nightmare scenario, really. Bizarrely, I kind of have dreams of. Oh, sorry, bloody light. I have Let's see if that's better. I have a lot of natural disaster dreams, which is kind of strange because I'm in the UK, and we don't get tornadoes or earthquakes, or we don't get massive earthquakes. So it's not like it's not as if natural disasters are anything I have to really worry about. But I tend to have, excuse me, quite a few. I tend to have nightmares about natural disasters, particularly tidal waves. Again, I don't know why, because that's something that's, I don't have to worry about. But yeah, that crops up a lot. Most of my dreams when I was young were rather dark and scary. I blame watching The Wizard of Oz at a young age. The Wicked Witch of the West would pop up in my dreams a lot. Yeah, I blame a lot of TV and films as well for a lot of the kind of disturbing dreams I had as a child. Actually, The Wizard of Oz, I only watched that for the first ever time last Christmas. I'd never seen it before. But I've seen Return to Oz about a million times, but then nobody knows that film. Um, but yeah, I mean, even when I watched it like last year, there's a weirdness to it, to The Wizard of Oz, and I can understand why you'd be scared as a child. But it's like I really loved the Gremlin films, even though they terrified me beyond beyond words. Hang on. Just checking my... Right. Yeah. The Gremlin films were absolutely terrifying. But I used to kind of watch them a lot, and I remember having a nightmare um of like being in a massive bed with all of my friends and my sister, and like these gremlin arms coming out from like between the pillows and like grabbing us and pulling us in. And that one really messed with me big time, because um, not long after that, like I saw a gremlin. That sounds really stupid. Yeah, I remember, because like when I was younger, and now as well, like if I have a very active imagination, as have mentioned, I think if I focus heavily on something, it starts to kind of come out of my head a bit. And particularly, as a child, and scary things, yeah, I used to actually see a lot of those things, and I remember after that film and after that nightmare being really like terrified, and actually and seeing a gremlin try and like under my bed. Um, it's had a very profound effect on me, as that. Um, too bad about forgetting to write it down. I woke up thinking I had some epic dreams the last few days, but when I see it's 1 PM and don't have time because I need to walk the dog, for some reason I always fall back asleep when my alarm goes off. Yeah, even I struggle to write down dreams. I try to, as soon as I wake up, I will try, and I'll usually write down a few notes on my phone, just the the important parts of the dream, I suppose, and then I will try and go back later on in the day when I'm a bit more awake and I've got a bit more time, and write them out fully. But yeah, no, I understand it. It can be it can feel quite tedious and quite, it starts to get a bit boring after a while. But you really do need to write them down. It definitely helps with recall, 100%. Like, well, from my own experiences, I do tend to remember more when I'm more focused on actually getting them written down. And as well as just dream recall, I know I've said it a million times before, but I think just having a document with documenting your dreams down, it's just always fun to read back over them. Like, I was reading my first dream journal a couple of hours ago, like dreams from 2010, 2011, and similar to a real life journal, it's like, well, they're like memories. It's like reading something that I did a few years ago. and it's a really great way of just seeing how dreams change over time, like the patterns, the dream signs, and the sort of oh, why is my brain not working? Just seeing how things change over time um, is always just a very interesting thing for me. If I wake up from early dreams, most of the time just jot down some keywords that correspond to the dreams I had. Yeah, it's easier to do that, I think. Like, especially if I'm really tired and I just can't sit up and write them down. I'll just have to put a few keywords into my phone, and then later on, more often than not, the dream will come back. If I've written enough keywords down, my dream will usually come back. Although there have been times when I know I've definitely forgotten a lot of that dream. But it's something you just got to find time for it. You've just got to find some sort of even if you have to wake up just a tiny bit earlier. I think it's definitely worth doing. So I'm just trying to think of anything else to mention. Oh yeah, the task of the month. You're still here, aren't you, Vanderschaff? I know that's not how I'm supposed to pronounce your name, but I don't know how else to pronounce it. I'm very sorry. Yes. So the task of the month was to help Vanderschaff come up with some ideas for a lucid dreaming film. I've had a few interesting lucid dreams this month where I've tried to collect as many ideas as I could. There was one lucid dream I had where I purposefully went searching for ideas. I asked the dream to just throw things at me, and there was a really like a really vivid landscape of kind of like, it was like a city that was half underwater, and I just remember there were loads of fish just swimming around the buildings, and then there was a cat that could change colour and that could shoot fire out of its whiskers. I don't know if any of these ideas will be helpful to you, but yeah, that was the task of the month, and it's mainly just been I mainly just found sort of very pretty landscapes, really, and a cat with fire coming out of its whiskers. So do with that what you will, and no offence taken if that wasn't what you were looking for. But apparently that's what my mind conjured up for you. Have you start again? Have you ever had any false awakenings that you thought were real? Well, that's false awakenings, yeah. I don't really tend to have a lot of false awakenings. Used to have them a lot more frequently a few years ago. Doesn't really happen now. I do remember one where I think I was having a nightmare, or at least maybe it wasn't a nightmare. It was just a a sort of bizarre dream that felt a bit like uncomfortable. When I woke from it, I was quite relieved that it was over. I remember getting out of bed and kind of walking around the house. I noticed that some of the furniture was in the wrong place, and it didn't click to me that it was a dream. I was like, it's very bizarre that the furniture's moved. But that was very realistic. Like, if the furniture hadn't have moved, then everything about it was just like 100% like real life, absolutely. Hello there. How long should I do mindfulness per day and how many times? Okay, well, I'm guessing mindfulness meditation in particular you're talking about. To be honest, I often forget to do mindfulness. Um, but when I do it, I actually don't do mindfulness meditation. Like, I don't sit down and meditate. I often try and do it whilst I'm out walking. Um, just being mindful. Well, I suppose just being aware of everything around me and kind of being in the moment, as it were, as I'm walking around and just taking in information as it comes. However many times, it sort of depends really. Like, obviously, we all have different, we all work in different ways. So for some people, if you're going down the mindfulness route, they might not need to do it that frequently. I guess it's one of those things you kind of just have to experiment with. But yeah, like, if I sit down and try and do mindfulness meditation, um, I do kind of struggle a bit just because my mind can be just far too busy, to kind of shut off from. But I find if I do it when I'm out walking, it's a lot easier, strangely enough. Even though there's more stuff going on around me, I find it easier to be mindful. I don't know why. Um, but yeah. Going back to what I started saying about myself and false memories, I do wonder if, because it's not that I get confused between reality and dreams as such, but because I obviously hear things, that line between kind of reality and fantasy and dream is very blurred, and I can sort of tell the difference, I suppose, but it does kind of get all kind of mushed up into one big experience. So I do wonder if for myself I'm more likely to have the experience of false memories. Um, they do feel, they definitely do feel like they've been more frequent in the last couple of years. So yeah, I guess it's because you don't get bored while walking, especially your mind starts wandering if you sit on one spot. Yeah, I think that's probably it. Really, I mean, there's quite a lot of stuff to focus on when you're walking around, and if you just allow your mind to kind of take it all in and don't really think about what you're seeing, don't really think about what you're hearing or touching or whatever, just allow yourself to have that experience and not pass judgment on it and just let it happen. And it's surprisingly, it's strange how you can walk the same kind of route every single day, but being mindful of it kind of changes the whole experience. You kind of notice a lot more, you appreciate a lot more. It's yeah, I prefer to sort of do it that way because I'm always in my room. I'm always in my room, and if I kind of try and meditate in here, it's just very frustrating because it's the same. It's the same four walls, and I just can't seem to shut my mind off. I think I associate this space with my computer and work and stuff like that, so my mind just refuses to kind of shut up when I'm in this space. You mentioned visualization as well in your video. It's kind of hard to do, so how do you do it personally? Um, I don't know. Visualization kind of comes easy to me, I think. Maybe it's because I daydream a lot. I'm in my head a lot of the time, and I guess visualization is a very similar thing to daydreaming. Um, and I get a lot of people kind of get confused with that term visualization because whenever you hear people talk about it, you're never quite sure what you're supposed to experience. Like, is it just a daydream, or do you actually see the things that you're visualizing? Like, is it like a dream? Like, whenever I read articles about visualization, I didn't really understand what it was. Like, what is the experience of visualization? What am I meant to be experiencing? So for me, it's kind of one of those things where it varies. A lot of the time, it is just sort of like a daydream, but I guess it feels a lot more intense, maybe is the right word. Um, usually I'll just kind of try and empty my mind as much as I can, maybe focus on breathing for a little bit, just try and get to a kind of calm, neutral kind of level. And I'll try and visualize something very basic to begin with. So, like, I'll just try and picture my hands in front of me, and I'll kind of focus on what they look like, how my hands move, um, and then I'll try and bring in other senses like touch. I'll try and visualize what my hands feel like when they touch each other. And then I'll kind of just go from there and try and visualize more and more things going on behind my eyelids. And I don't see it like as you see everything else around you. It's kind of like sometimes I will see outlines. I can sort of see the outline of the thing that I'm thinking of. Other times it is just like a daydream. It depends just how into it I am, if you know what I mean, like how focused I am. But I don't know, I think it's something that has kind of come, it's just one of those things that comes quite easily to me, I suppose. And I know some people really struggle with visualization. As far as fantasy prone personality, do you think people that deal with that have an easier or harder time with lucid dreaming? I would say probably an easier time. To me, it makes sense that it would be easier. Like, I'm not a natural lucid dreamer. I did have to learn how to do it. Like, even though I had some lucid dreams when I was younger. They were kind of infrequent and they happened by accident. They were just these random kind of things. I didn't really have a great deal of awareness. Like, I think I mentioned it in a video I did on Wild that, when I was laying in bed on the morning and I was kind of drifting in and out of sleep, I was aware that if I daydreamed about something, it would then carry on over into a dream. And once I was in that dream, I kind of lost awareness. I didn't realise, my knowledge that it was a dream didn't really continue over into it. So I did have to teach myself how to lucid dream. It wasn't a natural thing. And also, I'd say it maybe took like a year for me to have like what I'd consider to be a decent sort of lucid dream. But I think, it might have been something to do with timing as well. Like, for a very long period, I was trying very hard to not use my imagination, which I know kind of maybe sounds a bit odd, but for me it was one of those things where, knowing that I had this very, very powerful imagination, knowing that I had a lot of these experiences with voice hearing and stuff, I kind of, it was like I'd kind of, maybe I was a bit ashamed of it, maybe I was a bit embarrassed by it, so I'd kind of tried my hardest to not indulge in that. And so, you know, like once I started learning lucid dreaming, I kind of had to get my imagination back as well. But I would say it makes it easier. Like, if I'm in, it's a difficult thing. You have to find a balance, because it's very, very easy to let yourself go down the rabbit hole and get consumed by your own mind. But at the same time, when I am more consumed by my mind, I have a lot more lucid dreams. But I'm aware that I kind of need to find a balance, you know. I daydream more than I'm actually thinking. I think I should try relaxation before visualization. Yeah, I'd say it definitely helps to be in a more relaxed state rather than just jumping straight into visualization. It definitely, I'd recommend trying to get yourself more relaxed first. For me, I think and dream a lot about future. So, for example, I'm standing in the kitchen and suddenly I doze off, and my mind creates a different reality when my mind does its own choices. Right, okay. I'm just reading that again because I didn't take any of it in. I'm sorry. I think I dream a lot about future. So I'm standing in the kitchen, so I doze off, and my mind creates a different reality. Right, okay. What time are we on? Right, probably another 10 to 15 minutes maybe. If I can keep a conversation going for another 10, 15 minutes. Feel free to ask me any questions, because I'm sort of running out of topics to talk about on my own. I mean, I'm interested to know, like, what videos people prefer of mine. Like, I mean, I know I pretty much just talk about lucid dreaming, but you know, I have done different videos as well. I guess just for the sake of the future of this channel, you know, is there anything in particular that people prefer that I do, or any topics, you know, that I could elaborate more on? Just let me know. I've got a few animations in the pipeline, but I'm not sure when I'll get them done by, just because it takes so long. It takes so long to do. But I wanted to do kind of more artistic stuff, I suppose. You know, I really enjoyed doing that video where that dreaming in pictures video that I did. Dreaming in yeah, that's right. And obviously the rotoscope animation, I had a lot of fun with that. So I'm wanting to do more stuff like that. But I just, like I said, it's very time consuming. Do you seek out artwork in dreams? I tend to seek out museums. I see some of the most interesting things. Yeah, no, I do. It was actually quite a recent one where I was looking for artwork because I'm trying to work on this book at the moment. I went searching for ideas, but everything I found was crap. And I don't know if that's just because I was feeling quite frustrated, like because I couldn't come up with any ideas in waking life, and I think it maybe translated into the dream world. I just couldn't seem to find anything that was good. Or yeah, I went into a building and I was trying to find just something to draw, or just I was going through, like, I kept saying behind this door there's going to be something. I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be something that I can draw. And every time I went through, it would just be like a decaying room, or it would just be very dark and dull, and it was or empty, and that was quite a frustrating lucid dream to have. Lucid dreaming stories are quite popular, especially if the dream managed you to create something like lyrics or something. Yeah, okay. I mean, a lot of my best dream vlogs I've already kind of done on Team Lucid Dream, and I kind of, as much, I do like dream vlogs, but I do kind of think people, though there are some people who are interested in hearing about other people's lucid dreams, I kind of feel, for the most part, people aren't that interested in hearing about it. But as you say, obviously, if it's a quite a profound dream, or a lucid dream where you get something out of it, then it's quite interesting. At Dylan's World sounds awesome. Last time I was actually lucid dreaming, I tried to sing, but I had to stop because the dream started to get blurry. I quite enjoy singing in lucid dreams because I can't sing to save my life in waking life. I don't have a particularly good vocal range, and it's not a pretty noise. So yeah, actually singing in a lucid dream is quite a fun thing to do, because I can actually hit notes that I can't hit in waking life. And yeah, actually the next video, which will be on Wednesday, I do sort of mention something about that. So stay tuned for that. That was the most lackluster. I do apologise. I'll try that. Yeah, give singing a go. Give singing a go in a lucid dream. In fact, let's task of the month. Sing on stage in front of a crowd of people. Give that a go. Or play an instrument, I guess, as well, if you didn't want to sing. It's always quite fun to play instruments in lucid dreams. Again, I'll be talking about that on Wednesday's video. Time wheel again. Right, I'll probably be finishing up soon. But thank you everyone for joining. The people who have joined, thank you for leaving comments. I apologize. I'm a bit tired today. I'm a bit out of it, so I'm sorry that I might not have been as fun to watch, if fun is the right word. But I did specify at the beginning that it would be an awkward hour. So yeah, hang on, let me just check a few things. Right, in that case, I'm going to leave it there. Yeah, thank you very much for watching, guys. I have been Max, aka the RaRaRabbit, and I'll see you. Oh, hang on, no, wait. For me, the only thing I want from lucid dreaming is creativity, mental development, fighting fears, and exploring my mind. I keep dreaming about my home country, but I don't know why. Oh, okay, that sounds pretty interesting. Maybe I won't leave just yet. Yeah, I mean, those are pretty much the things that I primarily focus on with lucid dreaming now, is is creativity and, personal development and those kind of things. Um, keep dreaming about your home country. Why? Where are you from? I'm not leaving just yet in Dylan's world. I want to answer to this question. I tell you, actually, speaking of kind of, recently, like, I, all I ever seem to dream about these days is I always have this dream that I'm either on holiday, or I'm on a school trip, or I'm moving house. It's usually one of those three things, and every single time I have too much luggage to take home with me. Um, I always just have too many. I'm trying to pack everything up to go home or to move house, and the more I pack, the more stuff there is, and I can't bear to leave any of it behind. And sometimes it's just really stupid stuff, or other times it's very sentimental stuff. But either way, I can't decide what I'm supposed to take with me, and it's a very panicky kind of feeling. And that seems to be like, it's almost like it pretty much is every dream that I have where that happens. And I've been trying to figure it out. I mean, the sort of more, I guess the best dream interpretation that I have of that is maybe this idea of, of needing to move on in life, and just having a lot of baggage and stuff that I'm not ready to leave behind, I guess. But even though that seems like the obvious dream interpretation, I still don't really feel that satisfied with it. Um, I don't know. It just doesn't seem to be. I feel like there's more to it than just that. But yeah, that's something that's always that like it has pretty much been every dream. In some way, form or another. I'm from Estonia. Nice, but the thing is, I'm not really that interested in the place. More interested in Japan and stuff. Oh, Japan! You see, that's one place I would love to go. I would love to go to Japan. I think it would just be amazing. Like it's a completely different kind of culture. I think it would definitely be a weird place to be, and I'm sure it would be a massive culture shock. But it's definitely something that I'd absolutely love to. A place I would love to go at some point. I had repeating dream for 2 months at my grandma's house. It was driving me nuts. Tried dreaming about school and horrible teachers and bullies for the whole year and summer vacation. Yes. Oh, dreams about school. Again, if I'm not dreaming about, desperately trying to pack up my life and and move house, or whatever. I'm dreaming about school, and I'm dreaming like it was the last couple of nights ago. I was dreaming that I was dreaming that I was in my final year of school, and it was like, yes, finally I'm finishing school. And then this teacher approaches me and says, "Oh, you've signed up for another 2 years, and these are the lessons that you're doing." And I was just like, "Oh, okay, another 2 years then." And that's another theme that I always have. Like I find that I've somehow signed up for more years of school, and even though I know that I shouldn't be in school, that I left school years ago, I don't seem to kind of click on. And yeah, it's just I always dream that I'm back in school, and I don't like it. um, I need a well, yeah, I suppose I do need a vacation. But I don't really know where to go. Like, I don't really have enough money to go anywhere. But there's a lot of places in England, to be honest, that I'd like to go. I mean, typically I think of going abroad when I think of going on holiday, but I mean, there's some nice places here that I haven't been to. that I probably should. I imagine I should probably explore more of this country before I go further afield, perhaps. I had a huge handful of school dreams. They weren't bad, just very repetitive. Mind telling me why I keep dreaming about zombie apocalypse scenarios. This is very strange because I have those dreams as well. Not that frequently, but I do have those kind of zombie apocalypse dreams. I don't know what that's about. Maybe it's just a sense of impending doom. But yeah, I tend to kind of get those. Zombie apocalypse, natural disasters, being back in school, and my life rapidly falling apart. They're all quite common anxiety dreams. Not so much nightmares. I think maybe you get to a certain age where you don't have nightmares anymore. You have anxiety dreams instead. Because I can't really think of a time I've had like a genuine nightmare. You know, where I've woken up and being like genuinely like scared. Not like, you know, when I was younger. I've been out of school since 2014, and it sucks at times to see all my old friends in dreams. But those dreams happen for reasons, I suppose. Well, I finished high school in 2009, and then I did like an extra year. Like I did sixth form, and then I did college. I finished college in 2012. So it's like 5 years since I've been like in education. But yeah, God, those dreams keep on coming. They keep on coming. You find your zombie apocalypse dreams to be enjoyable. Okay, if you enjoy them, I suppose there's an element of, you know, kind of thrill and adrenaline about them, I suppose. But more often than not, I think when I have those sort of dreams, I'm more just scared. Or, you know, I'm more nervous than anything. Because it's like an awesome video game where you get chased and so that's not fun. That's not fun. In my teen years, I had a ton of survival dreams. I found them to be awesome. I'm trying to think of. I can't really remember what I used to dream about. Really. I did happen to play a lot of Fallout 3. I've never played a Fallout game, surprisingly, which I know is bad for somebody who plays video games and did video game design at college. Just the Fallout, I don't know, it's just one of those series that I never got around to playing, I suppose. Right, so this time I really am saying goodbye, because, yeah, it's been roughly an hour, and I said I'd just do an hour. So, again, for the second or third time, thank you very much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate you turning up to listen to me fumble my way through a conversation. Greatly appreciated. Yes, so with that being said, I'll see you in the next video.